Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next, and if you're not too careful, you just might learn something. So, we're back on Ole-Blue again, and making some progress. As you can see behind me, we got a bunch of parts in. We've got more coming. We don't have them all yet, but which brings up a good point. Now let me show you. Anytime you order a large amount of parts at one time, always make a list and check it twice. Check off all the parts as they come in and make sure that you're, one, of course, getting what you paid for, and two, making sure you have all your parts so when you go to start working on this thing, you don't get into it and then go, crap, where's that part? Because that's going to happen anyway, because you're going to have forgotten to order something. It always goes that way. But anyway, let me switch over to my phone camera and we'll show you what all we got. Hey, starting from left to right, we got our new gas tank. Come with a new lock ring and rubber gasket. That's always good. We got our new factory replacement muffler. We're still waiting on the head pipe and the tailpipe for that. And this is probably my most favorite bit of kit right here, and that is a completely new or complete replacement brake line set. The company I got it from is a company called Inline Tube. You can Google them, look them up. And these are stainless steel, so they're not going to rust out like the other ones, the original ones did. So I'm really tickled about these because I was worried about having to remake all these brake lines. Boy, that's a royal pain. So, and moving right along, we're going to convert this over to a electric fan, and this is a 1050 CFM fan. It'll be more than enough to cool that 6-cylinder and also work with the air conditioning that we're going to add on to it. And then there's the mounting kit for the fan. Mount it to the radiator. New thermostat, new water pump, very important. Complete engine gasket set, which is good because we're going to be tearing down both engines, because we got two. We got this one here in the original truck, the one that's all rusted out, and then that's an unknown because Roger wasn't sure what its running condition was. Of course, we knew it ran at one time, but also the thing sat for 8 years or so, and he seemed to think it might have had a blown head gasket, but we'll find that out here in short order. And then this one, which is a known running engine, came out of the donor truck. So we'll tear them apart and see which one's the better of the two. And you might say to yourself, well, if this one is a known good runner, why don't you just use it? And yes, that may very well happen. And we still want to double check. And the other reason I want to double check is because you'll notice this engine is gray and the other engine is blue. And it wasn't until like late or after 82 that Ford started painting their engines gray. So in the end, this may be actually a newer engine. So, if it's in better shape, then yeah, we'll definitely use that. And then of course we'll have the whole full engine gasket set to put back whatever engine we decide to go with. Now we're back to brakes. We've got our 3 rubber brake hoses. You know, your right and left front, and then the one that goes from the rear end up in the back. You got to make sure you get the right ones. The four-wheel drive one needs to be longer because it sits a little higher off the ground. We got our two new brake calipers up front. Our wheel cylinders were in great shape, so we're keeping them. I got some extra copper sealing washers for the brake lines just in case. Our parking brake cables, got new ones of those because the old ones were trashed and non-existent on the donor truck. New master cylinder, new clutch kit. These are the replacement. You can get replacement rubber boots for your tie rod ends. So got those. Got my engine paint. You know, Ford blue, of course, because the original one was painted Ford blue, so that's what we're going to go back with. We got a carburetor kit for the little Carter YF one barrel, new fuel filter, new fuel pump, spark plugs, cap, rotor, air filter, oil, coolant, all that usual stuff. And then got some, of course we use the pressure washer part of our wet blaster to clean the engines off before we start tearing them down and get all the gook off of them. But got some degreaser to spray them with first, and then some pressure washer soap. Now this is very important. If your pressure washer has a soap reservoir on it, you always want to make sure that you get soap that's made for a pressure washer, because I made that mistake and I used regular general cleaner. I think I was either Purple Power or Fabuloso or something. And the problem is, I don't know, it looks like calcification. You get this white chalky residue that builds up and actually clogs up the pump in the pressure washer, and I had to take it apart and fix it. My brand new pressure washer, had to explain that to the wife. You know, those good pressure washers aren't cheap, and that was like $300 or $400, I think, and that's a small one. So fortunately I was able to take it apart, clean it, put it back together, and everything's good. But always want to make sure that you buy special soap that's made for pressure washers. So very important. And last but not least, we got a second engine stand. Thank you, Roger, you're a champ, because that makes my life about 1,000,000,000% easier, because I can basically tear both engines down at the same time if I've got them both up on engine stands. So you know, as you have each engine block torn down, you know, you got all the parts off, and you know, we'll be using something like one of these carts or something to lay all our parts on for each engine. But just helps me out, makes me able to work a little faster. So there we go. And then the other thing I did today is I took my wheels, the original factory wheels that were on the truck, the original truck, and let's walk outside here and I'll show you. Thank God it's fixing to storm. It's been so dang hot. I mean, bloody hot. And now this thunderstorm's trying to roll in. It's cooling down a little bit. But see, these wheels, they're a special wheel. And they have these little black plastic center caps that go on the middle. And in the back, of course, they just cover the center hub, and in the front they allow the four-wheel drive hub to come through. And we're going to wet blast those with the Redneck Wet Blaster version 2.0 and get those wheels down to bare metal and repaint them back to white make them look all shiny and brand new again. And yeah, I can cut to a little bit of video I shot this morning as we were taking them in to get them to get the old tires dismounted off of them. I just didn't want to wait too long because I know Roger's coming back down here and he could have picked them up and had them dismounted and all that when he took them back, but I want to give that paint plenty of time to cure and harden up, you know, when I shoot those wheels. So anyway, all right, so we are on our way. We're gonna get the 4 tires dismounted off of Ole-Blue. I'm just gonna drop them off on my way to work and then pick them up later this afternoon. Alright, so there's our 4 wheels, and we are at Discount Tire in Bowling Green, and we're gonna get these puppies dismounted. Let's see, I think in my last video I left off with you know, where we had you know, reinstalled the springs and put all the little bumpers and stuff back in. Well, we got all our shocks, they're all installed. Of course, we had, I think in the last video, this part on the driver's side was already hung up in there, and we were tearing down the passenger side. And I know it's been 2 weeks or so since I posted a video, but unfortunately I still have to work for a living. So remember to please subscribe and click that bell icon so you'll be notified next time we post a video. Then maybe I can start posting like 5 videos a week for everybody. But anyway, in the last video we had this on the stand and we were tearing it down, and unfortunately what we found was one of the U-joints was locked up, and in the process of removing the U-joint kind of broke it. It was so frozen in there that when I went to press it out, the yoke yielded before the cup slid out and it broke. So we had to replace that. Fortunately, we were able to get use the one off the original truck. As like I said, they're both essentially the same truck. And well, we got it all back together and got our 4-wheel drive hubs back together. I ended up using the factory ones as kind of a cost-saving measure, but just had to clean them up. You know, somebody had tried to paint them, and then these plastic knobs here, they were still in good shape. They hadn't perished to the point of failing or falling apart, but they were real faded. So we cleaned them up and used some plastic paint on them and got them back to a nice red. And of course, we got our front shocks in, all that good stuff. And we did our springs. My son was up here, me and him were having a conversation about what color I should paint them. And I was kind of halfway thinking about maybe being a little flashy with it and painting them like a bright red or a yellow to match the shocks. And he was more on the conservative side, where he said, well, nah, too flashy, just, you know, paint them black. And yeah, I could do that, and then they just kind of blend in, but I ended up going with a kind of a subtle gray. It's kind of an understated, yet it still draws the eye to see that it looks all shiny and new and cleaned up. We cleaned those springs up in the sandblasting cabinet over there, and they cleaned up really nice. And of course, we've got our new polyurethane radius arm bushings there. And of course, all this stuff is still kind of loose, you know, all the spring shackle bolts and everything. We won't want to really put the meat to them until we actually have the weight of the truck on it, because we don't want it flexing against itself and it'll just wear them out real quick. And then we got all our tie rod ends and tie rod ends, all that sort of thing. The ones that were actually on the donor truck must have been fairly recent, because they were in excellent condition, and well greased and no free play. So I really didn't, since this is a budget build now, if this was anything else I'd just replace everything, but I didn't see any reason to just arbitrarily replace them when they're practically brand new anyway. So they just needed a little cleaning up and some paint, and they did need the new rubber boots I was telling you about. We'll put those on here in just a minute, and then we put our steering gear on. We cleaned it all up and shot it with clear, so hopefully it'll stay looking like that for a while. And then the return line for the power steering, which kind of doubles as a cooler of sorts. That's why it kind of loops around like this, and it comes back up before it goes back into the power steering pump reservoir. And we cleaned that and shot it with clear as well, so hopefully it'll stay looking really nice for a while. And plus it's a nice contrast, off of the black of the frame. And the power steering pump, got that all cleaned up and pretty. And, blasted and repainted our pulley, and got our steering shaft all cleaned up and painted up and pretty, and all our plastics, we got them all nice and cleaned up, so all that looks brand spanking new. So now the next step is to install that brake line kit and get everything inside this frame rail that we need, and the wiring harness that goes to the back of the truck, we'll run that down, and then we'll install the new gas tank in the frame right there. And on this truck, it goes right here. Like I said a couple of videos ago, we basically start, from the bottom and work our way up. The other thing I'm going to have to do too is I got to put all my brake hardware in here now that I got my parking brake cables and brake hoses and all that. So that's kind of how we're going to do it and work our way up. And then the next thing will be to start tearing those two engines down. And once we decide on an engine and get it put back together and cleaned up and painted, then we'll hook that transmission and transfer case from this truck, the original truck, up to it. We're going with this one because this is the 4-speed that has the overdrive built into it. And since she's going to be pretty much daily driving this truck, that overdrive will help with that 6-cylinder. This thing ought to get 25, 28 miles a gallon on the highway probably, who knows. So, and that's pretty much it for now. Well, that's pretty much where we're at this moment. Like I said, we still got a few more parts coming yet, but like I said, in the meantime, I'll start from the brake drums and work my way up, get all the brake lines in, and then run our harness, fuel tank, etc. So appreciate you watching. Appreciate everyone who's kind words, enjoying the project and watching its progress. Please subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon, or ring the bell as they say. Be notified next time I post a new video. I also post pictures in between videos sometimes on my Facebook feed. It's just Michael A. Palladini. I'll put a little thing right here for you. My name's a little hard to spell. And make sure you remember the middle initial, otherwise you'll get my son. But hey, you can check him out too. You know, he's on Automotive Specialties, Automotive Specialties and Performance, ASAP Automotive. Man, that's a mouthful. Jeez, I'm screwing that all up. Sorry, son. But cool shop out in South Carolina way there. You know, give him a look up there in Simpsonville, South Carolina. They're going to be. He's doing. You know, he's heading on his way for great things. Can't be more proud of him. Right now, he's paying the bills, turning wrenches, but they've got that cool, you know, Jeep project that they just did a LS conversion on, stuffed a 6-liter in a TJ. I mean, oh, that's going to be, I can't wait to see that thing burning all 4 tires off of it. And then they're going to do a lot of focus on, you know, tuning, performance, upgrades. You know, you want your 4-wheel drive souped up, that's the place to go. You know, you want to blow away your buddy's Mustang in a drag race, go see him. He'll hook you up with all you need to make it happen. So anyway, again, thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment. We welcome all the comments. We even feed the trolls every now and again. And you can always also email me at MacGyversWorkshop@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Like I said, unfortunately, I'm a working stiff just like everybody else. I haven't achieved Freiburgerdom yet to where I can support myself off of a YouTube channel. So anyway, see ya.